Everybody, we are back. It is Taped on Lodge. Favorite is podcast. Favorite is channel. Favorite is everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at mholder95 for Matt, and of course, pandasubs.com. Discount code TDL for 35% off. All right, guys. So we're back with another draft show. There's really nothing else to talk about. So it's gonna be all draft, like I said, for the rest of the time. It's draft month. You got what 3 weeks left? Not 3 weeks. The 3 week.
Less than 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks on 3 weeks last Thursday. So 2 weeks on this Thursday. Yeah.
2 weeks left. Trying to grind through some of these positions. Wide receivers, there's too many wide receivers, man. I'm getting tired of it. It's like I saw somebody was shouting out Jamari Thrash, and I was like, "Who is Jamari Thrash?" And I'm like, I got to go watch Jamari Thrash, and I'm not very happy about this. But yeah, I feel like there's just I don't know. I feel like the quarterbacks are such a big part of this draft that I've been focused on them so much that I'm so behind in the other players. So, but we're here doing Troy Fautanu and Sweat. I didn't even remember his first name at this point.
T'Vondre Sweat.
T'Vondre Sweat. And Big Man Sweat, who is a somebody that a lot of Raiders fans want to see. So it's definitely some good film to watch. Fautanu is a little bit different. I know a lot of Raiders fans want Fuaga over Fautanu, but I'm going to kind of deep dive into him and, see why the Raiders might like him. I mean, because they did they had a private visit. I don't know how many private visits they have with other players, but they had a private visit with Troy. So definitely want to look into that. Anything else that's happening that you could think of?
Not much, man. I mean, I think we were talking about it a little bit before. The biggest thing I feel like is that pertains to the Raiders. The Penix buzz is getting a little bit of a bump. I don't know what that exactly means, if teams are trying to bump him up to hope that someone else slides or what, but he seems to be getting the buzz. And I think, what was it, probably a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I would have thought they could have had a chance to trade back to, go a line at 13 or something like that, and then trade back into the first in Penix. And now I'm kind of worried that they might have to trade up to get ahead of the Broncos or something like that, and get up into that top and to the top 10 to maybe get him. Which
because Michael Penix buzz. When I started thinking about it a little bit, people say like, Drake May and maybe what Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy. People say JJ McCarthy is more Will Levis. I feel like Michael Penix might be a little bit Will Levis right now too. Who knows where he's gonna go? I mean, the buzz is happening because coaches really like him, which our peers tweeted out, which makes sense to me. I think he's pretty good on the board. He's a mature player, but I think a lot of the times GMs make the final decision for most teams. So even when the coaches get into it and they start to really like him, that's when the buzz starts rising for some of these guys. So who knows where he's really going to fall? Because those late risers, I feel like at the quarterback position, that rarely happens. Like a late riser who guys just supposed to be second round, all of a sudden he gets pushed all the way up to 13. It's something that's is rare. So I think the Raiders might still have a chance to do that. But he's been connected to the Raiders a lot.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
That's the thing. But
I mean, the thing that worries me about Penix more than Will Levis last year is I just feel like there's more teams that are looking for quarterbacks this year than there was last year. I don't know. I don't have a hard number on it, but I don't remember sitting there being I guess you kind of say that with the Colts or whatever. We knew 3 of the first 4 picks were going to be quarterbacks, but the Vikings, we know we're pretty confident they're going to trade up to maybe get the 4th guy if none of those top 3 budge. You got the Broncos, like I was talking about a little bit earlier, and there's just so many teams I feel like this year that could need a quarterback that's what makes me worried and forces the issue, and the fact that the Raiders are further back in the draft order with all those teams in front of them that can offer more, basically, except for the Broncos.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they did do a top 30 visit with Bo Nix as well. Michael Harris, which I still from Sanford. I'm just looking at his list of top 30 visits. But Byron Murphy had a top 30 visit, which I think we've been talking about that. That is
wild.
That would be hilarious. I would love that pick though. I would be excited. I would love it. You know what I mean? I know Raiders fans wouldn't like that because they're we have Christian Wilkins, but I tell you, by week 2, you'll forget it. you'd be like, man, that's a great pick. So, but that was interesting because he doesn't have any injury history, does he? Has he been injured before?
Murphy? No, not really. If it is, it's minor.
What about Makai Wingo? Is he a good player? I know you.
He is, but the dude is like 280 and like I don't think he had, not sure what his arm length, but he's just a complete size outlier. Like he has great testing numbers, he has like good film, but he's not like you're be taking a gamble on the guy. Like I think I have like a 4th round grade on him, and that's because his film is so good. Like if it was just like based on his size, like he'd be like a late day 3 guy. He's just a weird body type, weird size, where like you're not quite like you cap your ceiling with him a little bit if you're looking at him. But
okay,
I don't know. Maybe he could surprise people and go a little bit higher, but just a weird body type.
Yeah, because I mean, they brought in a couple of safeties, but I don't know who these guys are, and they're small school guys. Yeah, there's a lot of weird guys for top 30 visits, but top 30 visits aren't that crazy anyways. It's usually late round guys for the most part. I just thought Byron Murphy he's the only first rounder on here. So I mean,
something to keep in mind too, like the guy who writes for TDN, Brentley. I think Brentley Wiseman is his name. Like he used to work with for the Chargers when Telesco was there in their like front office, and he said like we literally never drafted anybody that we brought in for a top 30 visit.
See, that's a lie because he brought in Justin Herbert.
Yeah, well, he wasn't in there when I think they took Justin Herbert.
Yeah, see, but that was a Zoom call, so maybe that's maybe. Technically they didn't bring him in. It was a Zoom call, but I don't know. I just think that it's interesting that the Byron Murphy one, but I just want to ask you about Makai Wingo because I saw him online one time. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, he's so good." So I was like, "Okay, all right." Anyways, what we're talking about today is another defensive tackle, Sweat, the big boy from Texas, and comes from doing Troy Fautanu, and we're gonna get into that and do a deep dive. What's your thoughts on Sweat before we get into the film?
I mean, he's definitely an intriguing guy. I'll talk about it in a little bit and show at least one example. I think he can be better and a little bit more nimble if he plays at like 340, which is what he played at his junior year, and the combine weighed in at 366, which I think they said it was his playing weight last year. I mean, he's a massive dude that's almost impossible to move in the running game. Like I'll show a few clips. Like you legitimately cannot one-on-one block him, which is nice. And then this past year, I thought he showed a lot more as a pass rusher, which was surprising considering the weight gain. But his use of hands got a lot better, and I think his technique improved. So I think if he can kind of combine that, where like he has the movement skills that I really liked, or that we saw glimpses of as a junior in 2022, and the technique that he got better at this past year, I think he can be a disruptive player, be a nose who has pass rush upside, and at the very least be like a good long-term solution for John Jenkins, because Jenkins is, I think, 35 this year on a 1-year deal. Worst case, you draft Sweat. Maybe he doesn't have the immediate impact that you are hoping for, but in year 2, that's really going to pay off again when you don't have to worry about getting a nose tackle next year. And you have a great mentor for him in Jenkins, who I think they're pretty similar profiles, and you can see a lot of similarities in their playing style. Just Sweat, again, has a little more upside as a pass rusher and can move a little bit better if he can keep the weight down.
Yeah, just my eyes from Sweat, just watching the Senior Bowl, just that's kind of how I feel about him a little bit. But yeah, when you watch him on film, and you watch Byron Murphy and you watch him together, he's very disruptive. So he's very good on film. His film is a lot better than kind of what he showed at the Senior Bowl. But I mean, he still has good moments in the Senior Bowl in the 101. So he still has some good moments there. Watch Troy Fautanu. The thing is with him is that he can't play guard. So I hope that if somebody drafts him, that's not their plan, because he just doesn't have the play strength to play guard. That's one thing I noticed about him. But he is a damn good pass protector. He has a lot of upgrade techniques. Probably to beat him, you're gonna have to be a savvy pass rusher yourself to really take him out as a pass protector. So that's why day one, I think he could come in and be a solid pass protector from day one, where he's not giving up a lot of pressure. I think he has the athleticism where he could play both sides. He can move to right tackle. I think, even when he had a great combine, so when they did the right tackle drills there, he looked pretty good there. If you go watch those. So I think he could play right tackle, but he just can't play guard. That's my thing. I mean, the NFL was thinking that at the beginning, but there's no way he would get bullied around because he's more of a zone guy. They ran power at Washington, but he is a zone type of player where where he doesn't have to use his power. You can get him in space and do things like that. He's good in space and he's a great mover. He's very athletic. Yeah, you just have to. I think he's a scheme fit as well. So, between him and Fuaga, just looking at the history of what Telesco does, I mean, Fuaga is a little bit too big. DJ Fluker kind of scared him a little bit. So since Fuaga is a little bit of a bigger size, and he might go with Fautanu because he similar to Rashad Slater a little bit, kind of similar size. It was Slater was like 300 pounds, which I think is crazy. He's like 307, something like that.
Gotcha.
But
it's fun,
317. So it's not that huge. Still undersized technically for a tackle, but yeah, he's not the biggest guy in the world either, and it kind of shows up on film a little bit.
Gotcha.
All right, man. So let's get into Sweat first. Let's do some Sweat. Watch the big man move.
All right. So like I said, we're going to start off with like a clip from last year, kind of show you a little bit about what he can do when he a little bit leaner, has a little bit better movement skills. We're going to see TCU. They're going to run a little lead power with the read option action in the backfield. And I mean, you can see like the strength, right? At first, he's going to take on this down block. Also a good job of recognizing it and staying in his gap. And then two, I mean, the strength and the extension to just dominate the guard at the point of attack. This is part of what I mean when you can't one-on-one block him.
Good Lord.
And then the extra credit a little bit, the A+ effort is he's already got his gap closed in the man, right? He's responsible for this inside gap here. And then he just has the use of hands too and the agility to kind of make that play in the next gap, which is something that I felt like was lacking a little bit from his play this past year, or at least not as consistent as it was a year ago. For example, like we'll see this rep here. Now, granted, different play with the Texas Tech running inside zone. Like you can see there's not a bad rep by any means. We're standing up the guard here. We're doing our job. And we're in a position to make the play. But instead of that being a 1 yard gain, we're looking at a 3 or 4 yard gain. And that's kind of what I'm talking about with his nimbleness and his agility and his athleticism when he's, 20 to 25 pounds lighter. I also want to back this up a little bit. And you can kind of see it too. Like you look at this picture and this is this past season. Like he's got a little bit of belly, which obviously he's always going to do, and has a little bit more bad weight. And I'll back this up to the beginning of the video compared to last year. Still got a little bit of a belly, but you can see he's just carrying it a little bit better. And like this angle is a great one too. Like, I mean, just the difference in his body composition is noticeable. So it's like that's part of what concerns me is like he put on the extra weight, but I don't know if it was necessarily great weight. Like you'll see he's got a little bit more round in the middle there, and
a lot of Texas barbecue, man. A lot of ribs.
Exactly. He said at the combine he gains 30 pounds just sitting on the couch for a week. So he's a big boy. It's going to be
some good barbecue in Texas, man. It's a good barbecue there.
But again, now the other end of it is these are the physically dominant reps where you just get from this guy. Where again, I think he can do this at 340, but at 365, again, you can't one-on-one block this guy. The center's got to give him more help. I mean, he's effectively cutting the field here in half against this inside zone look from Texas Tech and forcing that running back to bounce. And then on top of it, resetting the line of scrimmage, and the running back has to bounce into his lineman. And again, 1 yard gain. So this is the kind of stuff where like, yeah, you want him to lose weight, but like that's pretty damn hard to move and pretty damn strong. But again, I think you can do it at 345. He showed it plenty. Get a similar rep here. Think another inside zone. Now get a little more help from the front side this time. But the same thing, like this dude, you just can't one-on-one block him. Gets right into the offensive lineman from Bama here. I mean, stands him up. Great hand placement too. We can see that Bama's got his hands outside of a Sweat. So Sweat's hit the money right on the chest. And again, nowhere to go for that running back. A little bit of what he can do against the run and a little bit of the gap filling. Moving on to a little bit of him as a pass rusher. This is a good example more than anything of what I'm talking about with how his use of hands have improved. Obviously, ball gets out way too quickly for him to be able to do anything. But this is what, this is a great example of how active his hands are. Like he goes for the little swipe, doesn't quite win. Center does a good job of keeping his outside, resetting his outside hand. And then 2, keeps those hands moving and wins with a nice little swim move. See it pay off a little bit here. Just with a little double swipe, gets that arm over, and then gets a batted pass here. What I wanted to point out too is here. Watch how his double swipe move, like you can see it a little bit here, like what position that puts the offensive lineman in. Where I'll get it right here. Like when you can knock the offensive lineman's hands down, this is what they mean when they talk about like defeating the hands to defeat the man. Like look where that puts this center in. He's off balance with his nose over his toes, and he's got nothing to lean on, right? Because he didn't land his hands. And on top of it too, nice little club by and arm over. Let's go get that batted pass. And that's where he's really showing a good growth. Like we'll get a good view of it here from this angle. I mean, that's perfect. He loves doing this move too. We'll see another example of it. He did this a lot at the Senior Bowl too, where he just comes off the ball, swipes at the punch, and again, got plenty of strength to knock this dude's arms down. Little club by arm over move. Go get that batted pass. See another example of it here. This one's not as clean, but again, knocks the hands down, wins with an arm over. Again, not quite as clean. And I mean, that poor running back.
Good Lord.
This guy's got to be what? 215? Here comes 360 pounds.
Love the toughness, though. Love the toughness. You can get scared. I love it. If
you're the running backs coach, you're giving this guy a plus on your little grading sheet because there ain't nothing he's going to be able to do except slow him down just like this. And I mean, again, that's part of what Sweat size, the challenge Sweat size presents. Now this time, we're actually going to see him miss. It's actually a good rep from this Oklahoma guard to flash his hands and get Sweat to throw that little double chop. And Sweat's going to miss. But what I like about it is, so he misses, but like you can see it here, like he's still got his weight back and he's kind of like his feet and everything underneath him so that he can stay on balance. And then we just go right into the long arm move. And I'm sorry, but there's not much you can do about this if you're this guard, because I don't know exactly what Sweat's arm length is, but I know he does have longer arms. And again, when he's this strong, like you can see it, a good example of it. One, this is not exactly a great position to be in to anchor if you're the guard. And 2, like look at his arms. Like he can't get his hands on them because he's just not long enough. And then Sweat's also strong enough to still be able to collapse the pocket with one arm. And I can guarantee you the next time Dylan Gabriel gets some interior pressure, he's going to be thinking about this rep because getting 360 pounds landing on you is going to leave this happy feet in the pocket. Yeah. All right. So I saved the best clip here, or my favorite clip here for last. There's going to be a little play action pass from Washington and just a beautiful push-pull move from our guy T'Vondre Sweat. Maybe hitting his future teammate here in Michael Penix. We'll see. But this is like we're talking about bad positions for an offensive lineman. I think looking through your legs and screaming at Michael Penix to watch out as again, the 360-pound dude comes barreling down on you is not exactly where you want to be. Like You're not going to find many defensive linemen who can fold another 300-pound human being in half hamburger style like this and then go get a QB hit. Like that's part of like what I'm talking about, where he's grown as a pass rusher and he has this upside. Now, the one thing I will critique him on, and again, this is where I think being a little leaner will help him out, is when we watch like guys like Christian Wilkins and Chris Jones, like earlier in the offseason, execute moves like this, like we saw them like flip their hips and get skinny to get clean wins. Whereas Sweat, granted, it's going to be hard for him to get skinny no matter what. But you can see, like, I'd like to see him be able to turn a little bit and get those clean wins around the edges, where I think that's going to be a little bit harder for him at the heavier weight. But still, if you're folding the offensive lineman in half and making him look through his legs, you're going to win more times than not. I can tell you that for sure. So a little bit of what he can bring to the table. I know he didn't put up huge sack numbers or anything, but he did have a pretty damn good year as a pass rusher and grew a lot there. And then obviously, against the run, he's the guy that you have to block with two guys, or he's going to disrupt the play. Like he's going to get into the backfield or reset the line of scrimmage to take away gaps. And if he can play it a little bit lighter, he can even take away 2 gaps without or with his movement skills and be able to close the gap with a man and make plays too.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has some pass rush upside for sure. It's just the weight's is a concerning thing because is he going to keep gaining weight? Is he going to keep the weight off? Is he going to have the work ethic to keep that weight off? And that's kind of the bigger issue with him because I think he would have a lot more buzz about even being a higher day 2 pick than he actually is right now. He still might go day 2. You never know, but if the teams do their studying on him and they feel like that he's not the right guy for them, and he might not be a player that has that work ethic to get up there and keep that weight off, he might fall. He might be something the Raiders could get in the 4th round or something like that as a steal or something like that, or in the 3rd. So it's gonna be interesting to see where he gets drafted because I think that's gonna be his. It's not really about his film. It's about how do you feel about him keeping his weight off. He did gain a lot of weight. I feel like he was like 400 pounds. I mean, he didn't weigh in at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah. And he looked bigger at the Senior Bowl, which was when you get that big, it's hard to look bigger.
Yeah. He looked like he was depressed after the loss, the heartbreaking loss. He just went right to Joe's barbecue and got some brisket. So,
that would almost be the frightening thing from me if the Raiders, if he does fall and the Raiders still draft him, is if he slides, it's because of something we don't know about. It's not because of what he did on the field this past year, where he was I think is it the Remington or whatever award winner that they give for the best college lineman. If he slides, it's because teams don't think he's a hard worker and they think he's going to have trouble keeping that weight off. My comp for him at Bleacher Report is Terrence Cody, if anybody can remember that guy from Alabama. Where, he kind of had the similar style of this guy had some upside as a pass rusher, but then again didn't quite have the work ethic to make it work out in the NFL. So hopefully Sweat can avoid that. But yeah, if he's motivated and again he can keep his weight down, he can be a disruptive player, especially at nose, and a unique talent at that, I think too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he's a very unique talent. It's more about can he keep the weight off, and NFL teams are out to decide that. But I just can't get him the vision of him at warm-ups out of my head. So that's hilarious.
I don't know if we talked about that during the Senior Bowl preview, but yeah, there was when he was doing his warm-ups, everyone else is you got the karaoke, getting the high knees, and he's just 5 yards behind, barely moving his feet, very clearly was I don't want to do this.
Yeah. This is too much work.
Gave off some big guy energy. I'll put it that way.
You know what I mean? Hey, some teams might like that. You never know. All right, man. Let's get into some Troy Fautanu. I don't know if I've been saying that name wrong all show. I said Troy, right?
Right now, you just said Trey, I think, but
I did.
Yeah.
I too worried about the last name, bro. All right, so. Of course, what we do, we always start with run blocking. We do alignment. So we start off with a little bit of run blocking here. And I talked about him getting into space earlier. And he pretty much is a technician on every type of block. So you see here, does a great job of rotating his hips, flipping his hips to seal off this linebacker. Kind of this pin pull run that they're executing here. You see he does a good job of sealing that guy off. Getting in the right position. He's also patient in space. One thing you see at guys in space is they like to rush. He's really patient. You can see how he shows some patience to make sure that he has that good technique, able to reset his hands and flip his hips there. So definitely see that from him. Definitely, like I said, technique wise, he's pretty damn clean. See him here on the pool, and this is kind of an example of that. Kind of shows, a little bit of the play strength, but it's still not a awful block here. I mean, he still has a good block, able to move the guy enough right there, but it's just not a ton of movement. He's not even able to kind of push that guy out of the way. But you still see how he is in space, though. And it's also about being patient, because if he rushes here, he could overrun it. I mean, you see guys do this all the time with these pulls. They overrun guys and stuff like that. But you see the patience. He knows what his assignment is. He opens up the lane for number 7, who I think did not get enough carries on this football team. That dude's pretty damn legit. I don't know who that is. I don't know if he came out or not. He might be coming out, I think. He's a damn good player. And you see him here. Once again, we get another pin pull sweep action. He's able to You see the pad level is really good. He's really quick off the ball. Hands are inside. Even the guy, when he tries to fight through his hands, he's able to reset his hands. Definitely great with his hands. He's has excellent hand. It's one of the best things that he does. You see here, but you still see a little bit of the place where these guys are able to fight through those blocks. You can't hold them that long. So it's a little bit of a preview, but he just definitely can't hold these blocks that long. That's why I feel like he's more fit up for his own scheme, where he doesn't have to like bully the lineman in front of him, especially when he has to move and take on a nose tackle or a defensive tackle like he did on this one. All right, here we go. Next one here. You see here, like I said, his pad level is always great, right? He always has to find a way to get the right hand inside, right? He gets a little high here, but I mean, you see, he kind of shows that drive, but you see how the guy kind of just stood up. I mean, it was enough for the hole, right? But it's just that play strength isn't there to run a lot of down blocks with him, right? You're not going to get too much movement from him, but he's able to do a good job because his technique is right. So this guy's standing him up, but he's got his hands in the right spot. He's able to drive with his legs. He did the job. He did good enough. And they're able to score a touchdown here. You see the excitement. He had like a touchdown dance every single time too. He's got like all right, see him here, and it's just about more with the zone scheme and how he's a little bit better here, right? And he's able to just kind of move a guy with momentum. So you see it here, a little bit of kind of outside zone look. Even though this guy's kind of pulling, but it's still kind of a reach block. Basically, you see that he's able to just move this guy. He didn't have to use too much power, right?
Yeah,
and kind of just move him out of the way. And that's why I feel like he's a fit. He's a zone scheme fit.
His feet look natural in it too. Like he kind of has like a little bit of it looks like a false step, but like that, it's like a read step where he's trying to figure out where the guy's going, like we were talking about before, and just kind of drive him out of the way.
Everything with him is about counters. Like I feel like he's trying to get this guy to go inside because he knows where he wants to, trying to dictate where the play goes. Because I mean, right? Because if he goes inside and that guy might have an inkling to go inside a little bit, and then he's able to drive him outside like that and kind of just build a leverage. You'll see him in pass protection. He plays games with people all the time. So here's another run block here. See it one more time. See, he's able to get some of that movement on the outside zone. I wouldn't say this outside zone, more just a zone, in the zone running game, but because this guy, he's not doing outside zone. I think it's more like inside zone a little bit, kind of basically.
Mid-zone.
So. Yeah, mid zone. So, but you still see what I'm saying? Like he's able to move this 83, who's a pretty good player. I mean, these Utah guys are pretty good defensive ends.
Yeah, Jonah Ellis.
Yeah, it's just good movement, but it's like he's not burning the guy. He's not bullying him into the ground, right? It's not like a pancake, but it gets the job done, and that's when you're in the zone. That's what you want. So. But in space, like I said, he's really good in space too. This is what I talk about his patience. He on the screen, you see him kind of break down first, right here, right before he makes his block. A lot of guys just try to drive through 23, just take his head off. He breaks down first, gets in the right position, opens it up, and then buries him into the ground. He gets buried, man, right there.
And that's Michael Barrett, who's a former safety playing linebacker. So that's smart to break down, stay in front of him, because that's what Barrett wants. He wants you to come over pursuing and come in hot.
Yeah. But that's what he does all the time in space, man. He has that great patience in space. So, you don't see that too much from offensive linemen. They just want to take somebody's head off. You see here, it really kind of shows the zone run game here. And, a little Michael Penix running too, if you guys want to see that. Because it kind of do like an outside zone QB run, because it's not really like a pure QB sweep, just still outside zone motions with this. And that's what I'm talking about. Like he's not getting too much push here, but it's enough, and he's able to, move in space. Good player. All right, so pass protection. This is where it gets a little special here, and he does some crazy stuff. So this first one, he loves a fake punch. Okay, he loves a fake punch. He always has pretty good depth too. He always has the right depth. You see this fake punch. He got 81 off balance, drives him into the ground, gives Penix plenty of time to throw this dime to Romeo Dunze. So you see, watch it one more time. Quick little fake punch. Kind of gets the guy to show what he wants to do. Then he's able to just push him and drive him into the crowd because he already has him off balance from the fake punch.
Yeah.
And he does this pretty consistently, guys. I mean, it's pretty nice. He in pass protection, he's clean. And there's not a lot of guys that beat him. If you're going to beat him, you better be a technician. You better be able to have a counter for what he's going to do. You see it one more time. Another fake punch. This guy is chopping nothing. He didn't chop anything, guys. He went for the chop. Oh, swing and miss. And right back, and he drives him right around the quarterback, right around the pocket. Good hands right inside. Right, like I said, good depth. You talked about that with Fuaga. Matt got killed about depth with Fuaga on Twitter. But you see, he's some better depth here. He doesn't have to really force him around the corner. He's hanging right with this defensive end. Right, swing and a miss, hands right inside. He's full control, full leverage. Michael Penix getting to show us that 4.56. Yeah, he's got great feet, man. His feet are fantastic. Just athletic as hell, man. That's basically what it is. He's, you draft athletic guys with this type of technician, it's rarely that you miss. You know what I mean? Like the worst guy is probably like Brian O'Neill, and he's still a damn good right tackle. All right, see him here, and then he's a snatch and trap master. I honestly think he tries it too much, but he will snatch and trap. You do not fall into it. You will get snatched and trapped, and he wants to do this. Right, so he got you leaning, you get snatched and trapped, you're on the ground. Ignore the throw if you're a Michael Penix fan. But you see here, kind of shows the fake punch, and he, 81 tries to go for the bull rush, which is something people like to do because he likes to do that fake punch. They try to go straight up bull rush after that because he does lack a little bit of anchor with the play strength. He does a good job of resetting, and he ends up getting leverage here and just snatching and trapping this guy into the ground.
What I like too is like he punches with just his outside arm, and that's going to allow him, like, one arm's longer than two, if you ever heard that saying, and that allows him to make contact sooner and get right to the V of the neck of that guy, and that's how you can get that snatch and trap when you strike gold like that.
Exactly. So here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Him kind of trying the snatch and trap a little too much, but it still works because it's all he's trying to do. I feel like every time I watch him block, he's trying to set up a snatch and trap. He just wants to snatch and trap you, bro. So like even this one, he gives like an initial punch, right? Initial punch kind of shows what you're doing. And then when you try to counter, then you see him try to go for the snatch and trap like immediately. But he's able to reset again. But it's just something he likes to do a lot. And I'm going to show later on, first a really good pass rusher, it could eat him alive a little bit. And you can kind of be caught off balance. But if you're not a technician like some of these Michigan guys were, the Michigan guys weren't really able to do it. But you see here, once again, in pass protection, right? He's always at the right depth. Then he tries to snatch and trap here once again. You're like, you will be snatched and trapped by Fautanu. Like it is a thing, Initial punch get you off balance. He also likes a slingshot too. I didn't put the slingshot in here, but he does a nice little slingshot too. If you're familiar with the slingshot technique, but he's trying to snatch and trap everybody. You will get snatched. You will get trapped if you go on one-on-one with Troy Fautanu. So here's another one here. See him pick up stunts too. He's really good at that. Really smart player too in pass protection. Understands it. Knows. That's why he's doing the one hand out here. He knows this guy's coming around. I'm able to switch, drive him right around the pocket. Right here. Michael Penix versus Utah is a definitely a game. If you don't like him, you get some stuff you don't like. If you love him, you get some throws that you love. That's what I'll say about that while we're going over this. But here's another one. Right, him just a natural pass rush. This is not him not doing any tricks, any moves. Gets a little bit of a chip here, but you see still has the right depth. You see him with the hand fight, right? I mean, see where 83 tries to come with those hands. He's winning that hand fight. He's able to reset. And with his feet and hands, it's just pretty special, man. I think he's pretty special in pass protection.
Jonah Ellis has really good use of hands in as a pass rusher too.
And you can kind of tell like he's prepared for that, right? He's prepared for Ellis and a lot of the hands movements that he does. He's prepared. He said he's a film watcher, really a great studier of what these guys like to do. And that's why he's kind of able to do a little snatch and traps on people. So see it one more time here. This is, him finding work too. Get him finding work, So he's pretty much set from a pass protection standpoint. Now, let's talk about a little bit of his play strength issues here. Now, you see on this one, he doesn't get his hands up quick enough on this one. You see, he is already basically about to be out leverage. He's kind of because he loses the hand fight from the beginning, right? He's not able to win that punch. He usually wins first. He's quick with his hands, but if you can get inside him, you can move him and just move guys around. And it's easy. C55 just moves him like he was nothing and made the play. And the USC game, which I didn't really highlight here, you saw this a lot more. I don't know who that defensive end from USC was, but he just kind of was doing that to him a lot. You even see it in his run block rate on PFF. If you're a PFF guy, it's not the best run block rate in the world. So when you see it here again, even with him getting his hands inside, his pad level is still way too high because he's trying to get so much. He's trying to move this guy. And 55 was eating him alive a little bit. Every time he tried to go inside, even with the double team, 55 is just a lower man, just sheds him, able to make a tackle. He can't hold that block. So he's just not built for the power game. He's not a power guy. If you're trying to do some power stuff, it's not going to work because even here, and what I'm talking about, how teams started to counter him a little bit because he does all that, faking out with his hands and he's trying to snatch and trap you. They just, instead of just doing it, they just bum rushed him, right? And you see he anchored a decent anchor on that one, but you could kind of see where his play strength kind of lacks and he's kind of getting pushed into the quarterback pretty easily there. Yeah, this is not supposed to be a Michael Penix slander video, guys. I promise.
I promise. Just turning out that way.
it just ended up that way, So like here's him versus was it Chris Jenkins, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Right, and kind of see how Jenkins hits him with a little kind of the club and rip here, and to me, this one's more about play strength. It's not really, there's a rip here. I think if you have more play strength and he really leans too, because he doesn't have the play strength. He's trying to keep Jenkins from getting to the quarterback. So he's leaning, which makes it worse. I mean, only Joe Alt can lean like this and get away with it because he's so tall. I mean, when you're in this position as a offensive lineman, you've lost. This is not a great position. You don't want to be horizontal. You're back like this. That's Chris Jenkins right to the quarterback. And then this ended up being a Penix slander video. But anyways, but you can kind of get the point here. That with power guys and rushers, especially if he's going against some of these interior guys, it's gonna be a little bit rougher for him. So if you put him at guard, you're just not a good scout, in my opinion. I'll say that right now. You're just not a good scout. And I kind of want to show some of the counters to his little fakes here. So he loves the snatch and trap. So he tries to go for the snatch and trap here, and 81 sees it and kind of just shoves him to the side, which I think is a little bit of play strength too, and gets right to the quarterback because he's trying to snatch and trap everybody. Right, tries to snatch and trap, he gets caught off balance, right to the quarterback. Which I like 81. I don't know who 81 is. He's a stud, man. I watched the game when I was doing Bo Nix. He was killing those guys. You see here, lands the punch, just catches him off guard, right? Because if you know his moves a little bit, that's what I'm saying. So, of course, the NFL, there's going to be a little bit of adjustment. I'm sure he'll adjust. And, these 81 to me is not the average pass rusher in college. But you kind of see going against one of the better pass rushers in the Pac-12. He had a little bit of issues there. So yeah, that's Fautanu right there. I think he's still a very solid player. Definitely an option at 13. I don't know if I would take him at 13. I feel like he's more of a later round guy, but but you see the upside he has, man. I think he has a high upside player, definitely fit for the zone scheme. If the Raiders, that's what the Raiders want to do. Want to run wide zone, and they feel like that he's a tackle, then they can move him, to the right side. He can do a lot of those reach blocks and a lot of those outside zone blocks. So, somebody like Fuaga, who might be a guard, at the end of the day. I mean, some NFL teams might feel like he's a guard. I think Fautanu will fit the need for right tackle, even though he's not a right tackle, right? But I still think he will fit that need for the tackle position that they want. And, you can move him over. And I think pass protection against the average NFL pass rusher, he's not going to be facing, just think of that division. I mean, I guess it's like Joey Bosa, right? Those type of guys. But, the rest of the league is not going to have all those type of players, those elite type of players with the pass rush skills to kind of know what he's going to do. And, those Utah guys, they played Washington all the time too. So you can kind of tell that maybe they have an idea of what he does, because the Michigan players weren't doing that. Let's say that Michigan players were not. They decided that we're just gonna bull rush him, right? Instead of trying to, kind of counter like 81 was. So I think day one against your average pass rusher, he's going to be good, right? There's going to be some guys, they're going to beat him, some of the great guys, but I still think he's going to have some wins against those guys that you feel good about him on the right side, and you put him in the zone scheme and get him in space, do some of those tosses they like to do and have him out there in space. There's some good things can happen. Let's just say that.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, just comparing him to Fuaga, who I watched, like you said, I watched recently, like his feet are a lot better. Just Fuaga's just nastier in the run game and just has a little bit more behind him, and I think probably a little bit better at anchoring and whatnot, which is why, to your point, like that guy make a little bit better at guard. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting dude. Yeah, like you said, I don't think he's wouldn't be my favorite at 13, but as a trade back option, or if they're really serious about getting and trading back after taking a quarterback or something like that in round one, they want to trade back and get him. He's an interesting guy to target for sure.
Yeah, the athleticism is gonna be something that they really like. And when I did those O-line fits, he fits everything that they like. And with Tom Telesco is usually drafted at the position, so that's gonna be an interesting part of it. See how they go with this dynamic, but I would think it's a little bit of reach at 13, me personally.
Yeah,
just from watching, just because if I'm taking a guy at 13, I would want him to be scheme diverse, in my opinion. I feel like he is a zone tackle. Like if you put him in a gap scheme, he's going to struggle. If you move him inside the guard, it might get ugly. So that's the thing with breaking him down and watching his film, is that 13 just seems like a little bit of a reach there to take him. So, but if they were picking at 20 or 21, it'd be like cool. But 13, where there might be some guys that are a little bit more scheme diverse available. That's where I would go with that. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude. All right, so that's basically it. That's kind of our breakdowns of Fautanu and Sweat. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, check out the mock draft that we did on Friday. Go ahead, check that. I got yelled at by taking Bo Nix at 44. So go yell at me. And then and also check out the memberships. Like I said, I got all those quarterback breakdowns. I got Michael Penix versus Arizona up there that I did last week. So go check that out. It was definitely better than what I showed on this film, watching Fautanu. So you'll feel better about that. And of course, we'll be coming back Tuesday, or some Wednesday, one of those days, with some more draft picks. So it's draft time, guys. And then the draft coverage is going to keep coming. So hit the subscribe button, subscribe. We're out of here.